People waste their energy defending their reputation, their opinions, and their pride, yet lose control over their own fate. In this speech, we uncover the forgotten tactic of those who rule in silence, defend nothing, control everything. This philosophy reveals how to hold absolute power, not by reacting to the world, by mastering it from the shadows. Every time a man rushes to defend himself, he is already at a disadvantage. His reaction declares fear, his explanation exposes uncertainty, and his defense unveils what he values most, which is precisely what can be taken from him. The illusion of defense is not about safety, it is about weakness disguised as strength. When you defend, you reveal your attachment to something fragile, something that can be used against you. Those who crave control understand that defending anything, whether it be a reputation, a belief, or an emotion, makes you predictable, and the predictable can always be defeated. The instinct to defend comes from pride and fear combined. Pride demands validation, fear dreads judgment. Together, they compel you to justify yourself, to prove your worth, to explain your motives. But in doing so, you step onto the ground of your enemies. You play the game by their rules. The wise, however, do not defend, they observe. They let accusations pass like wind through an empty room. They let silence speak where others shout. Because silence creates mystery, and mystery creates power. When no one can read your reaction, they cannot control you. Defending yourself publicly may win you sympathy, but sympathy is poison to strength. It invites pity, not respect. The powerful do not seek to be understood, they seek to be unshakable. Every time you argue to prove you are right, you give your opponent what he wants most: your attention and your emotional energy. It is like fighting a fire with oil. The flames only grow higher. The art lies in starving the fire, in denying it the oxygen of reaction. When you refuse to respond, the flames die on their own. The attacker is left shouting into the void, slowly destroying his own credibility. Those who rule understand that defense is not protection, it is surrender. The moment you defend, you accept that another person's opinion holds value over you. You agree that you must justify yourself before them, but the truly dominant figure does not defend because his value is not defined by others. His silence declares, "You may speak, your words have no weight here." And that silence, that calm indifference, unsettles more than any counterattack could. It makes others wonder what you know that they do not, what power you hold that allows you to stay so composed while they burn with emotion. The illusion of defense tempts you because it feels righteous. It makes you believe you are standing up for yourself, protecting your honor. Yet in truth, every defense is a confession that you care too much about how you are seen. The more you explain, the less they believe you. The more you fight to protect your image, the more fragile that image becomes. The wise never defend, they redirect. They use attacks as mirrors, revealing the insecurities of their accusers, not their own. By not reacting, they transform the conversation. Suddenly, the one who attacked seems desperate, emotional, and weak. The powerful know how to weaponize perception. They understand that people trust the one who appears unbothered. When you do not defend yourself, you project confidence that cannot be faked. It sends a silent message: "I do not need your approval." That message strikes deeper than any argument because it signals independence from validation. And that is the purest form of control. Most people are slaves to what others think. The one who is not becomes untouchable. Even in battle, the same rule applies. A general who defends every position spreads his army thin and loses everything. But the one who chooses not to defend, who allows the enemy to overextend, gains control of the field. He watches the aggressor exhaust himself while keeping his own strength intact. Power grows not by reacting, but by letting others waste their strength proving you wrong. Defending nothing is not ignorance, it is calculation. It means you choose where to invest your energy, and defense is never a wise investment. The noise of defense distracts you from the real game, the subtle game of control. While you're busy explaining, others are busy advancing. While you defend your image, they seize your influence. The illusion of defense keeps fools trapped in endless explanations, while the cunning remain silent and move forward unnoticed. When you no longer feel the need to defend, you step into a higher form of power. You learn to let people speak, to let power, in its purest form, is never loud. It does not need to announce itself or prove its existence. The true strength of an individual lies not in his ability to argue, dominate, or shout commands, but in his mastery of silence. The kind of silence that bends others without force, that governs outcomes without direct interference. Silent control is the ability to make others act in ways that serve your interests, while they believe it was their own idea. It is the most refined expression of influence, invisible yet absolute. To understand silent control, one must first reject the idea that authority depends on visible assertion. People equate volume with power, but the wise know that noise is a mask for insecurity. Those who scream for attention are never in control of themselves. The silent one, however, commands attention without effort. His calmness unsettles others. His stillness becomes a mirror reflecting their inner chaos. Silence creates psychological dominance. The louder they speak, the smaller they feel beside your composure. Control begins with observation. When you speak less, you see more. Every pause, every quiet moment reveals something others miss. The world constantly reveals its secrets to those who listen deeply and react slowly. Those who control themselves control the room, because emotion makes men predictable, and predictability is the enemy of power. By remaining silent, you allow others to expose their intentions, their weaknesses, and their fears. Each word they throw becomes a thread you can later pull to move them where you wish. The art of silent control also lies in managing perception. You do not need to stop others from talking. You simply need to make them wonder what you are thinking. Mystery is more commanding than presence. When people cannot read you, they fill the silence with their own assumptions. Some will fear you, others will admire you, but all will respect the quiet tension that surrounds you. You have not imposed power, you have inspired it through uncertainty. In silence, you become larger than life, an enigma that draws obedience without a word. The one who practices silent control does not rush to correct lies or clarify truths. He understands that the more others speak, the more power they hand over. Every explanation, every justification, every attempt to control the narrative gives away fragments of influence. But when you remain quiet, your words gain weight. The few times you do speak, they fall like judgments, not opinions. They shape direction. They settle arguments. Silence creates gravity, and gravity pulls others into your orbit. Silent control is also an exercise in patience. Most people crumble under the pressure of silence. They cannot bear uncertainty. They reveal too much too soon, desperate to break the tension. But the disciplined man endures it. He allows silence to work for him, to disarm, to confuse, to expose. In that stillness, others begin to show their cards, to confess their intentions indirectly. They talk to fill the void, but every word becomes a piece of intelligence you can later use. Silence, therefore, is not the absence of strategy. It is the sharpest form of it. True control is not about possession, it is about direction. You do not need to own everything you influence. A skilled manipulator can guide outcomes with nothing but suggestion, tone, and timing. You plant a seed and let others believe it was their own thought. You let them move in ways that serve your design, while you appear detached, uninterested, almost indifferent. That is the art. To act without appearing to act, to move without leaving footprints. The world becomes your instrument because it never suspects your hand is on the strings. Silence grants you command over emotion. The loud are slaves to their impulses, reacting to every word and provocation. The silent one absorbs it all, unmoved. His calm is not weakness, it is dominance disguised as indifference. In time, people come to rely on his steadiness, to seek his approval, to follow his quiet direction. He does not compete for power. He becomes the axis around which power rotates. To master the art of silent control, you must cultivate a presence that speaks louder than your words. Every movement, every look, every pause must carry intention. You do not rush to fill the silence, because silence itself becomes your language. A language only the intelligent can interpret. Those who misunderstand it expose their own lack of control. Those who grasp it, fear it. You control everything not through confrontation, but through calm awareness. You let others believe they are free, while every choice they make leads exactly where you intended, turning attacks into advantage. Every attack that comes your way is not a wound to fear, but an opportunity to use. The weak see opposition as a threat, the powerful see it as a signal. a revelation of their enemy's focus, insecurity, and desire. To turn attacks into advantage, one must first abandon the instinct to resist them directly. Resistance feeds the attacker, gives him importance, and binds you to his rhythm. The art lies in redirecting his energy, allowing his aggression to expose him while you remain untouched, watching him exhaust himself in his own fury. When someone attacks you, whether through words, schemes, or insults, they are not merely expressing hatred. They are showing you where they are vulnerable. A man only attacks what he fears or envies. Every insult contains a confession. Every accusation hides a mirror of the speaker's own weakness. If you learn to listen beyond the surface, you can turn each attack into a map of power, showing you what your enemies value, what they protect, and what they cannot control. To react with emotion is to give them victory. To stay calm and observe is to take the upper hand without lifting a finger. The key is redirection, not defense. When a storm comes, a tree that resists breaks, a tree that bends survives. Likewise, when confronted with hostility, do not fight the force head-on, guide it. Let your enemies' words spread if they must. Truth and patience will make them collapse under their own lies. Let them expose themselves publicly while you remain silent. The crowd will begin to see who truly holds control. The powerful do not argue, they orchestrate. They let chaos consume those who created it, while they use the ashes to build their next move. Turning attacks into advantage also requires a deep understanding of perception. When others strike at you, they expect outrage, they expect a counterattack, they expect you to defend. When you give them none of it, they are left unbalanced, confused, even afraid. Your calmness in the face of hostility becomes a weapon more terrifying than any retaliation. It tells the world that their efforts cannot touch you, that you are beyond the reach of ordinary emotion. That image of someone unshaken earns more loyalty, more respect, and more power than any victory gained through direct conflict. In politics, in war, and in life, great strategists never stop their enemies from speaking. They let them speak until they destroy themselves. The more your enemies attack, the more desperate they appear, the more obsessed they seem. Meanwhile, you rise above the noise, untouched, untarnished. The crowd begins to sympathize not with the loud, but with the composed. They begin to doubt the accuser and trust the silent observer. By turning their attacks into a demonstration of your composure, you manipulate the narrative itself. And that is true mastery. But the transformation of attacks into advantage is not only about external control, it is also internal discipline. When you no longer take offense, when you no longer burn with reaction, you become invincible. You are no longer a puppet pulled by emotion. You turn every insult into fuel, every challenge into clarity. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start thinking, "How can this serve me?" The power lies not in avoiding conflict, but in extracting profit from it. Every strike against you becomes a lesson, a disguise for opportunity, a chance to reveal who is truly in command. Sometimes, allowing others to attack is a deliberate strategy. Their aggression exposes their motives to everyone watching. Their anger burns their credibility, while your restraint builds yours. The wise know when to appear passive, because in passivity lies hidden dominance. To make your enemies move first is to make them reveal themselves. To let them believe they have the upper hand is to make them careless. Then, when the moment comes, a single subtle move dismantles everything they built against you. Control and chaos. That is the essence of this philosophy. You do not need to silence your attackers. You only need to let their noise destroy them. You do not need to protect your image. You only need to let time and patience display the truth. Each attack becomes a stepping stone. Each insult a spark that lights your path forward. The wise do not fight storms. They harvest the wind, mastering detachment. Detachment is not indifference, it is control. It is the power to act with precision while others are paralyzed by emotion. To master detachment is to free yourself from the chains that bind most people. The craving for validation, the fear of judgment, the need to be understood. The more you depend on how others see you, the more they own you. But the moment you stop defending appearances and detach from approval, you become untouchable. You are no longer pulled by praise or crushed by criticism. You simply move toward your goal with ruthless focus. Those who cling to emotions become slaves to reaction. Their energy is spent fighting for their image, arguing to be right, and justifying every decision. The detached, however, observe in silence. They do not react, they respond. They do not rush, they choose. Detachment allows you to think while others drown in feeling. In a world driven by noise, the calm mind rules. The one who controls his emotions controls the battlefield, because every conflict begins and ends inside the mind. To master detachment, one must learn to separate action from emotion. Do what is necessary, not what feels good. Speak when silence is costly, not when pride is wounded. The detached man understands that emotion clouds judgment, and judgment is the foundation of control. He remains cold when others are hot with anger, patient when others are desperate to act. This composure confuses and intimidates. It makes others uncertain, forcing them to second-guess themselves while you move with quiet certainty. Detachment is also the art of invisibility. When you are no longer swayed by personal desires, no one can predict your moves. You become unreadable, untraceable, and therefore undefeatable. People cannot manipulate what they cannot understand. They rely on emotional reactions, anger, envy, fear, to steer others, but when you show none, they lose their weapon. Their frustration becomes your advantage. They will reveal their intentions faster than you ever could through questioning or conflict. But detachment does not mean coldness toward the world. It means precision of attachment. You choose where to invest emotion, where to show care, where to withdraw entirely. You may appear emotionless, but your restraint is a weapon, not a flaw. You feel deeply but express selectively. The crowd believes you unmoved, yet within that silence lies calculation. The detached mind studies people as a ruler studies his domain, not to belong, to understand and control. Every powerful figure throughout history has mastered this. They smile when necessary, they praise when useful, but never from the heart, always from the mind. They attach only to purpose, not to people. Because people change, but power obeys discipline. Detachment gives you the distance to see clearly, to anticipate outcomes others overlook. It grants immunity from manipulation, from guilt, from emotional blackmail. While others drown in feelings, you walk above the surface, watching patterns form beneath. Detachment also brings peace. Not the peace of stillness, but the peace of direction. You no longer waste time defending your pride, explaining your choices, fearing loss. You understand that control requires sacrifice, and emotion is the first offering. Once you are no longer owned by what you love, you can protect it better. Once you no longer defend your image becomes invulnerable. Detachment gives you the freedom to act without hesitation, to decide without doubt, and to let go without regret. In this state, you become the calm in every storm. Others shout, panic, and scatter. You stand still, and the chaos bends around you. Your stillness becomes dominance. Your composure becomes command. Detachment does not weaken your humanity. It sharpens it into a weapon. You feel everything, but nothing controls you. You own your silence, your focus, and your reactions. The world cannot move you because you have mastered the only thing that truly matters, yourself. Every attack against you is an admission of your power. No one wastes energy striking at what is insignificant. The wise understand that opposition is not a curse, but a confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. When people attempt to wound your name, challenge your position, or question your worth, they reveal where their fears and envies lie. To turn these attacks into advantage, you must learn to view them not through emotion, but through calculation. The one who reacts with anger becomes a pawn. The one who observes with calm becomes a ruler. When someone attacks you, they are offering you more than hostility. They are offering you information. Their tone, their timing, their methods, all speak of what they value most and what they fear losing. Every insult exposes an insecurity. Every accusation reflects a weakness. If you look closely, the attack itself becomes a message. It tells you exactly where your opponent's armor cracks. Most people, blinded by pride, waste their energy defending against it. The strategist, however, studies it, gathers it, and stores it like a weapon for later use. Turning attacks into advantage begins with control of emotion. Anger is the enemy's ally. When you become emotional, you lose sight of strategy and step onto the battlefield of impulse, the only ground where your opponent can win. Stay still while others rage. Let them reveal themselves completely, because emotion makes men transparent. The more they try to hurt you, the more they expose what drives them. Each word becomes a clue, each outburst a confession. By the time they realize what they've revealed, you already understand how to move them without force. Power thrives in redirection, not resistance. To resist directly is to validate the attack. To redirect it is to own it. Let them insult you publicly. Let their noise echo. You do not need to silence it, you only need to outlast it. When the crowd sees your calm, their chaos becomes embarrassing. The one who stays silent in the storm gains the sympathy of the onlookers, while the one who screams loses credibility. Your silence becomes judgment, and judgment is always feared more than argument. If they spread rumors, let them. Lies carry within them the seeds of their own destruction. The more they are repeated, the more they demand proof. And when proof fails, the liar burns. Time is your ally, emotion is your enemy. Let time expose what you already know, that truth survives on its own, and deceit dies from exhaustion. Every false attack, if handled with patience, turns into proof of your strength. People eventually realize that nothing real can be damaged by mere words. The power to turn attacks into advantage also lies in inversion, using the enemy's force against him. When he strikes with hostility, you respond with composure. When he mocks you, you turn mockery into indifference. When he schemes, you let him believe he is winning. You allow his arrogance to grow until it blinds him completely. And in that blindness, he will overstep, revealing too much or moving too soon. His downfall becomes his own creation. You do not need to destroy him, you only need to let him destroy himself while you appear untouched by the chaos. In war, the most dangerous opponent is not the one who fights hardest, but the one who refuses to react. The unshaken enemy drains the will of his aggressor. The same rule applies in the wars of influence, reputation, and perception. When you stop defending, you create doubt in your attackers. They begin to question themselves, to wonder why you do not respond, why their words carry no weight. They become anxious, and anxiety leads to mistakes. Their attacks, once weapons, become noise that exposes their weakness to everyone watching. Every strike you endure can be converted into momentum. Every challenge gives you a chance to refine your composure. Those who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. You use hostility as energy, not by matching it, by absorbing it, redirecting it, and letting it feed your silence. When others see that you remain calm under attack, they begin to associate you with stability and control. This silent authority spreads faster than rumor, and soon even your enemies begin to respect the strength they failed to break. The highest form of retaliation is success. When you rise higher in the midst of opposition, you turn every attempt to weaken you into evidence of your resilience. Attacks then serve your reputation, not harm it. You become the figure who endures what others could not, the one who grows stronger under pressure. The attacks lose their sting because they no longer control your energy. They become fuel for your mastery, proof that you are already beyond the reach of ordinary conflict. Detachment is the discipline of those who wish to rule, not just over others, but over themselves. It is the power to stand within the fire of chaos and remain unburned, to observe every move without being consumed by reaction. Detachment does not mean a lack of feeling. It means you have conquered your feelings. It is the highest form of control because it frees you from the chains that enslave most minds. The chains of fear, pride, validation, and emotional impulse. The one who is detached holds the advantage because he no longer fights battles of ego, he fights only for results. The weak confuse detachment with coldness. Detachment is clarity. It allows you to see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Emotion blurs vision. Desire blinds judgment. When you detach, you strip the world of illusion. You no longer act out of need, but out of design. You are no longer provoked by insult, nor seduced by praise. You move like a strategist, not a dreamer. When others are enslaved by how they are perceived, you are guided only by purpose. That purpose becomes your compass, sharper than instinct, stronger than passion. Detachment begins with understanding that most conflicts are emotional traps. People draw you into their chaos to control your focus. They bait you with insults, provoke you with flattery, or manipulate you with guilt. Once you react, they win, because reaction is surrender. The detached individual sees through every attempt. He recognizes manipulation for what it is, desperate effort to pull him off balance. He remains unmoved, not because he feels nothing, but because he values control above all. His silence is not submission. It is command in its purest form. When you are detached, you begin to realize how easily others give away their power. They defend their image as if it were their soul. They explain their choices as if the world were their judge. The detached man does neither. He knows that reputation can be destroyed but restored, that loss can be reversed, that opinions fade faster than time. What matters is not what they say, but what remains under your control, your judgment, your patience, your strategy. In a world obsessed with appearances, detachment becomes rebellion, and rebellion becomes dominance. Emotion is the tool by which most men are ruled. Anger leads them to reveal their secrets. Pride forces them to make foolish choices. Love binds them to those who do not deserve loyalty. Detachment is the art of seeing emotion as energy, something to be used, not obeyed. The detached person does not deny emotion, he channels it. He can show warmth when it serves his purpose, cruelty when it preserves his advantage, and indifference when it confuses his enemies. He wears emotions like armor, not chains. Detachment also sharpens the ability to wait. The impatient are slaves to time. The detached make time their servant. They do not rush toward outcomes or chase recognition. They understand that most victories are not seized, but allowed to mature. Detachment grants you the patience to let events unfold naturally until the moment comes when you can act with precision. While others waste energy reacting, you conserve it. While they burn out in their emotions, you strike once, decisively, when the balance is already in your favor. To master detachment, one must first detach from the need to be liked. Approval is the softest form of control, and those who crave it will always be bent by those who withhold it. The detached do not ask for agreement, they demand results. They are not loved, they are respected. And respect, unlike affection, does not vanish with mood or misunderstanding. By removing the need for validation, you become unpredictable. No one can bribe you with praise or intimidate you with criticism. You move independently, guided only by what strengthens your position. Detachment also extends to self-image. The powerful do not protect their ego, they refine it. They allow failure to teach them without humiliation and success to serve them without arrogance. When you are detached from the illusion of perfection, mistakes no longer weaken you, they inform you. You adapt, you evolve, you rise quietly while others drown in shame or celebration. Detachment gives you an inner stillness that nothing external can shake. Whether praised or condemned, you remain the same, calm, calculating, and in command of yourself. Those who master detachment see the world as a chessboard, not a battlefield. They do not fight for every piece, they fight only for position. They can sacrifice without regret, retreat without humiliation, and wait without impatience. Their emotions serve strategy, never sabotage it. And as others waste themselves defending illusions, the detached stand apart, free from reaction, free from fear, and free from the invisible chains that make most men servants of their own feelings. Defend nothing, control everything. This is not merely a strategy, it is a philosophy of power that few are disciplined enough to follow. The world teaches you to protect your pride, your image, your beliefs, yet in doing so, you become a prisoner of them. The moment you begin to defend, you place yourself beneath the judgment of others. But when you let go of the need to explain, to justify, or to be understood, you rise above the battlefield of opinion and stand in the realm of control. The strong are not those who fight every attack, they are those who understand which battles are worth silence. To defend nothing is to give your enemies no target, no weapon, no victory. It is to become untouchable, not because you hide, but because you no longer react. Control, then, is born from stillness, not struggle. It is the quiet authority that moves the world without raising its voice. Power is not seized through constant confrontation, but through deliberate restraint. It is not built in noise, but in observation. The one who governs his reactions governs the outcome. Every emotion mastered, every silence maintained, every attachment released. These are steps toward absolute control. You cannot shape destiny if you are still defending illusions. The world will always test your strength with insult, betrayal, and chaos. Let it. Your power is measured not by how much you can fight, by how little you need to. Those who defend everything lose focus. Those who control themselves control the world. To defend nothing is not to abandon power. It is to ascend beyond it, to rule not through fear or force, but through the invisible command of composure, silence, and precision. Control is the crown of the disciplined, and silence is its throne. Those who learn this rule no longer chase power, they become it.